Good morning. Hello, I'm Maddie Harvey of Maddie Harvey Designs. I'm a knitwear designer and seller of kits and patterns, and I also run workshops. I'm based in sunny Edinburgh today, and I like creating things that help knitters develop their creativity and confidence. This is my weekly knits and cake for breakfast video. So the kind of story behind them is that before lockdown I was hosting a weekly knit night on a Wednesday night, and I would always do baking for the knit night, and then on a Thursday morning, because it was getting near to the weekend, I would have a bit of the cake for my breakfast. So just trying to keep up with that, although this week I haven't managed to do any baking. I popped in to one of the local cafes here who have these amazing scones, and I just got my timing just right that they were just getting their delivery of baking and these scones. So obviously, because it's getting near to Christmas, they have got these new mince pie scones, which I guess have just got like the mincemeat through the scone mixture. So I think it's probably not that different to a fruit scone. Anyway, I'll have a wee taste. They smell really good. I think they use a lot of cinnamon in their scones. Sorry. I think I took too big of a bite. Anyway, they're massive. All their cakes there at this bakery are massive, and I also they gave me jam and clotted cream as well. So I haven't put that on. I might put that on one half or something. And I've got my cup of coffee. If you're watching live, I hope you've got a cuppa on the go. So in these little videos, I usually share with people what I've been working on this week, and I give you some other little tips and little know-how things. So I thought I would show you what I've been swatching for a new design. So I'll just show you this. This is not in the yarn that the final thing will be in, but this is a little swatch for something that I'm doing with Cookston Crafts. If you know Claire, she is based up in Aberdeenshire, and she does these amazing treat boxes every other month. So they have yarn in them and a pattern and lots of other goodies. So she's doing one for Hogmanay, and she asked me if I would like to collaborate with her and come up with a pattern. So I've been swatching. This isn't Claire's yarn, I'm just using something else. And I'm kind of experimenting with these welts, which is what you'll see actually. This is where I hang swatches, here and here. So it makes this great texture, like a little fold in your knitting. And then I'm alternating those with a little bit of garter stitch with some dipped stitches. So it's just an experiment. It doesn't look very pretty yet. But I just kind of keep going until something emerges that I'm pleased with. So that's my sort of plan for that. So if you were interested in a Hogmanay box, treat box, it's full of lots of lovely things. You could have a look at Claire's her website. She's Cookston Crafts, and I think she's just Cookston Crafts on Instagram as well. So I need to get a wriggle on with that one. And then the other thing I've been doing is for the retreat, the online retreat day that I'm running next weekend, where in the afternoon we're doing a workshop with Louise Scully of the Woolwork podcast. So the workshop is all about substituting yarn, and part of it is, of the sort of homework for the workshop, is to knit up a couple of swatches. So I've been working on a swatch based on the patterning from my Coraline sweater, but because Coraline is done, it's a top-down sweater in the round and the swatch is flat, I've had to do a bit of wrangling with the stitch pattern to get it to work. So if you're coming along to the retreat day, you should be getting this hopefully tomorrow so that you've got time to do your swatches. So this one has been blocked, and the yarn that I've used for this is, oh, I don't think I've got the label, it's Rau Work, which is German merino. So it's a double knit, but it's quite thick actually. I think if I was doing this again, I would maybe do it on a slightly bigger needle. So that one's been blocked, and then this is the one that I've just started knitting, the second one, and this one's going to stay unblocked so that we can kind of compare the two. So I was quite pleased with how it washed up. It's softened a bit, although it was already pretty soft and bouncy, but it's also it's got a bit more drape than it had. I'm thinking what I might do, here's the rest of the ball. I've got a skein of this in a kind of, I suppose it's a sort of navy, and this grey. I might do a sort of 2-colour hat or something with it. I think it would be nice. So the background would be striped and then the slip stitch patterning would stay in the main colour. Something like that. Anyway, I'm enjoying knitting with it. It's very bouncy, this yarn, and it's not like traditional merino. It's got much more, I don't know if you can see that how well. It's got much more it's more rustic than a sort of what you would think of as merino. I'm not sure if that's to do with the way it's been spun or prepared, or if it's actually that it's just different because it's a slightly different merino breed. I'm sure that when I do the workshop next weekend, Louise will probably know and be able to tell me. Yeah, so I've been busy packing up the goodie bags for that retreat, and hopefully that one was really successful when I launched it. It sold out really quickly, so I'm planning to run some more next year, so look out for that if you missed out this time. Okay, now what else was I going to show you? I was going to show you, I showed you this last week, but I finished the cowl, and I've written up the pattern, so it's going to come out next week, and I've called it SOS Cowl, which stands for Scrappy Old Shale, and it's going to be a free pattern for people who are on my mailing list. So if you haven't signed up to that, you can do that in the link in my profile on Instagram, or if you're watching this on YouTube later, it'll be down there in the down bar. This will be great if you've got an advent calendar with mini skeins, or you could do it with scraps. And it's customizable, it's knitted, it's a double layer, so it's knitted in the round, and you could just keep going, make it whatever size you want. This is a single. But what I wanted to tell you about was that you can, I'm just looking for a place where I've done this, is about how you can use up every sort of last bit of the yarn by using a technique which has got different names. I've always called it a weft clasp join, but I've seen it called a clasp weft join and various other things. But it means that I can see, now is it that row there I've done it? I can see there that this goes from one yarn, which is that, into the next one, which is that. And you know, in something like a cowl or an accessory, where you're really playing around with the colours, if you do a swap over like that in the middle of a row, it's not really going to be noticeable. In fact, it probably adds to the effect of the colours kind of fading into each other. So it's quite a handy one to know. It means that you don't have ends to weave in afterwards, which is always good in my opinion. And it means that you can use every little bit of the yarn. So I'm going to try and swing my phone around. Last week, I think I managed to kind of disconnect it while I was doing this. So hopefully this week is a little bit smoother. So I'm just gonna have to change the camera around. That's it. And then I'm going to swing it up like this. Just have to wrangle this and then I'll see if that has worked. You should be able to see my desk. Yes, okay, but now my hand's around the wrong way. Okay, let me turn it around that way. Okay, right, there we go. Okay, so I've got this a bit of knitting here on some much bigger needles, so you can see what's going on. And this pale green is just about finished. And I'm going to join in this darker green. And so this weft clasp join, basically what you do is you kind of double the one that's running out, you double it over, and then you thread the new one through and double that over. Okay, and then they're joined like that. And you keep knitting, and then some of your stitches you're going to knit with the yarn doubled, just to kind of catch the ends. And then when you get to this bit, you just keep knitting. And so there'll be this join right in the middle of your work. And then you've got another couple of stitches knitted with this darker colour doubled, and then you'll come to the end. So I'll just show you. So when it's something like this, it doesn't really matter too much if you've got a couple of stitches where the yarn is double. You know, if it's something that's going to be wrapped around your neck, you're not really going to notice some stitches where it's gone a little bit thicker. But I have to say, I don't think you'd want to do this like in the middle of a jumper, because I think you would be able to see it. Okay, so that's the changes here. So you can see in the patterning for the cowl, you know, where you've changed, it's not really that noticeable. I think there might be a change in that row there actually. So this is a sort of project where this join is perfect. So I'll just do the purl row, and then I'll show you what it looks like from the front. You know, anything where you're using scraps or something where you're marling. So if you're holding two yarns double and then one runs out and you're going to change, you could use this for the one that runs out that you're changing over to a new colour, and that wouldn't be you wouldn't have as many ends to weave in, and it wouldn't be that noticeable, because with marling you always get that nice kind of gradient effect if you're changing. So from the front it looks like this. So, and those stitches, they are a little bit thicker than the other ones, but really if you're doing a scrappy kind of project or something with mini skeins, and it's something that's going to go, you know, around your neck, or if it's socks, you're doing scrappy socks, this is a good join. And from the back you can see here I've got a little tail here and I've got a wee tail there, and I wouldn't bother joining them in. I think as long as you have a few stitches on each side, you know, maybe 3 or 4, it will stay in place, especially if you've got a yarn that's a bit fuzzier. Somebody's asking if they could do it for intarsia. I don't think you could, because with this you can't really control where that join happens so easily. I think with intarsia you need to be quite precise, don't you, about where the stitch starts for that colour block, because you want it to be a particular shape or design. So I don't think it would work for that. You could try it, I suppose, but I think it works best for this sort of scrappy kind of project where it doesn't really matter where that join happens. Yeah, I think in Tarja you have to be quite precise, especially if you're doing one of these amazing sort of picture things. So yeah, so it's good for things like cowls, shawls, socks, scrappy socks, and it'll be great for any Advent projects that you're working on with an Advent calendar. So I hope that was helpful. I'm not going to try and turn the camera back round, but I will be back next Thursday at 10 o'clock and you can watch the replay later. What I do is I upload this video to an auto subtitler, which is quite funny because sometimes it thinks I've said something really rude and I haven't. And I take a wee screenshot of these bloopers and put them on my Instagram stories, so you could watch out for that later. Okay. See you next week. Bye.